he has the chance to score Argentina's first goal of the tournament. It's Messi for Argentina. It's simple, it's easy, it's 1-0. He is determined to cap his career with the only honour to have eluded him.
Messi hits one. Oh, what a goal! That is sensational. Absolutely outstanding.
Welcome back, football fans. Today's story isn't about goals, assists, or trophies. It's about the one goal Lionel Messi scored without ever touching a football. It's the story of a boy from Rosario and the girl next door. A bond that outlasted fame, distance, and pressure. A love story that proves even the GOAT needed someone off the pitch to stand by him. Stay with us as we dive into the fairy tale love of Messi and Antonela and why it's the one victory that truly defines him. Welcome back, football fans. We've seen Lionel Messi defy physics, rewrite history, and carry nations on his shoulders. But today, we're not talking tactics or trophies. Today, we explore the man behind the magic and the woman who's been there from the very beginning. Because behind every unstoppable force on the pitch is often an unshakable love. Of it, this isn't just a love story for romantics, it's a story of loyalty, patience, destiny, and what it truly means to grow with someone. While most modern love stories collapse under the weight of fame, fortune, or distance, Lionel Messi and Antonela Roccuzzo created something different, something that grew stronger with time, not weaker. Their journey wasn't built on red carpets or tabloid headlines. It was built on childhood memories, quiet promises, and an unshakable bond that would withstand time, distance, and unimaginable pressure. This is the kind of love story that reminds us what's still possible. Not perfect, but real. Not glamorous, but deeply grounded. From innocent childhood letters to heartfelt wedding vows, from years of separation to building a life and family together, this is the story of how one boy's dream and one girl's heart found their way back to each other, across continents, against odds, and through every stage of life. So stay with us as we return to Rosario, Argentina, where the seeds of a lifelong love were quietly planted, long before Messi became a global icon, long before the world chanted his name in stadiums, before the spotlight, before the trophies, before the legacy. There was a simple street in Rosario, a quiet neighborhood where children played barefoot on cracked sidewalks, chasing dreams they didn't yet have words for. The kind of place where love didn't need filters, fame, or fortune, just time, trust, and heart. It was here that a young Lionel Messi, just 9 years old, first saw Antonela Roccuzzo, his cousin's best friend. For most children, a crush would come and go like the wind, but not for Leo. He felt something stronger, something he couldn't explain even back then. He began writing her letters, pouring out emotions far beyond his age. One note, now famous, simply said, "Someday you'll be my girlfriend." To most, it would seem like the sweet words of a smitten child, but to Messi, it was a promise, a declaration of something he already felt in his bones. This wasn't just young love, it was the beginning of a soul connection that would quietly shape the rest of his life. Antonela was more than just beautiful. She was calm, present, grounded. While Messi was quiet, reserved, even painfully shy at times, she had a strength in her stillness. Even as kids, they complemented each other like two halves of a whole. They spent afternoons by the river, long weekends at family gatherings, playing games in the sun, laughing, teasing, building memories neither of them knew they'd carry forever. But then, life stepped in. Messi's budding career demanded more. Diagnosed with a growth hormone deficiency at just 10 years old, his family faced a heart-wrenching decision. In pursuit of his football dreams and treatment, Messi left Rosario, eventually relocating to Spain for a chance to play with FC Barcelona's youth academy. Just like that, the connection they'd nurtured was put on pause. But it was never forgotten. Rosario, Messi's hometown, is a working-class city defined by grit, passion, and football. It's not only where he was born, it's where he was shaped. Long before the world labeled him La Pulga or the Flea, he was just Leo, a kid no taller than the goalposts, dribbling past players twice his size with a determination you couldn't teach. While Leo was chasing his dreams in Europe, Antonela was quietly building her own life back home. She focused on her studies, surrounded by family and friends. They weren't officially together, not in the eyes of others, but ask anyone close to them, their bond never faded. Messi would still visit her house whenever he returned to Argentina. He'd light up when she entered the room. Her presence gave him something football never could: comfort, calm, and connection. To Messi, Antonela wasn't just a childhood crush, she was his anchor, a reminder of who he was before the headlines, a piece of home that fame could never touch. And that was only the beginning. At just 13 years old, Lionel Messi faced a decision that would change the course of his life forever. When FC Barcelona offered him a place at La Masia, the club's legendary youth academy, it wasn't just a football opportunity. It was the door to a future few could ever dream of. But that opportunity came at a cost. He had to leave his home, his city, his friends, and most painfully, Antonela. There were no big promises, no dramatic goodbyes, just a quiet departure filled with uncertainty and emotion neither of them could fully express at that age. One day they were sharing childhood memories, the next they were separated by continents. As Messi began rising through the ranks in Spain, Antonela's life remained in Rosario. She focused on school, lived a quiet life away from the spotlight, and grew into a strong, intelligent woman. The world around her changed, but deep down, a part of her still held on to something unspoken. She didn't know exactly what she was waiting for, but she waited. For a while, the contact between them faded. Childhood letters turned into distant memories. Phone calls became less frequent. Life moved forward, and what once felt like destiny began to feel like a beautiful story left behind. But fate wasn't done with them. In 2005, Antonela was hit by devastating tragedy. Her best friend, who was also Messi's cousin, died in a tragic car accident. The loss shattered her. She withdrew, grieved in silence, and disconnected from the world. The joy of youth seemed lost. Days blurred together in pain. Then, unexpectedly, Messi reached out. Despite years of distance, he felt it, he knew, and without fanfare, he returned to Rosario, not as the rising star the world was watching, but as the same boy who had once written her letters. As Leo, not Lionel Messi. That moment changed everything. There were no cameras, no grand romantic gestures, just quiet understanding between two people who had once shared the simplest and purest kind of love. In the middle of grief, something beautiful began to reawaken. It wasn't fast, it wasn't loud, it was gentle, like coming home. The connection they'd built as children slowly found its way back. What started as comfort during tragedy blossomed into something neither of them could deny. The embers of their bond began to glow again. Most athletes in Messi's position would have let the moment pass. Between the pressure of international stardom, endless media obligations, and the burden of being Argentina's great hope, it would have been easy to focus on career alone. But Messi didn't retreat into the fame. Instead, he made a choice, one that would define more than just his personal life. He chose to build something real, something lasting. He chose love. He began visiting Antonela whenever he could. Whether it was flying back to Rosario or staying in touch constantly, he found ways to keep her close, no matter the distance. They weren't just rekindling old feelings, they were building something new from shared history. And it wasn't easy. He was living in Spain, surrounded by luxury, cameras, and constant attention. She remained in Rosario, living a grounded private life. Yet somehow, across time zones and lifestyles, they stayed connected. Friends began to notice the difference in Messi. He seemed lighter, more open, more grounded, and the reason wasn't a new training program or sports psychologist. It was Antonela. She wasn't just someone he loved, she was someone who reminded him of who he really was. The boy from Rosario, the boy who started this journey with a dream and a football. By 2008, they officially became a couple. Quietly, No media circus, no Instagram announcements, just two people choosing each other again, this time with intention and maturity. In a world overflowing with fame and fleeting love, Messi returned to his roots. He stayed loyal not just to Antonela, but to the version of himself that began in that small Argentinian neighborhood, long before the world ever knew his name. And when asked later what kept him grounded through the madness of global fame, he didn't mention football. He said one word: Antonela. It wasn't just a reunion, it was a quiet triumph, a love story that defied distance, survived time, and proved that sometimes the heart remembers its way home. As Lionel Messi's name echoed through stadiums, from Barcelona to Buenos Aires, from Champions League nights to Copa America finals, there was one person who remained constant: Antonela Roccuzzo. She wasn't in the headlines, she wasn't chasing fame, she was the steady presence behind the curtain. While the world called him a genius, she simply called him Leo. Their love didn't unfold through tabloid gossip or red carpet glitz. It bloomed in shared routines, in whispered encouragements, in the kind of loyalty that doesn't need a spotlight to shine. While Messi was conquering Europe, Antonela made a quiet move to Spain, choosing not the glamour but the closeness, a choice grounded in love, not lifestyle. As Messi's career exploded and the pressure mounted, their relationship only deepened. They became each other's anchor in the storm. She offered peace, stability, and a refuge from the madness of global fame. While Messi became a global icon, Antonela chose a quieter role, raising their family, holding down their home, and keeping their world grounded. Together they raised 3 children, Tiago, Matteo, and Ciro, far from the public eye. In their home, Messi wasn't the GOAT. He wasn't a record breaker or World Cup champion. He was just dad. And to them, Antonela wasn't just a footballer's wife, she was the heart of their world. In every stadium Messi played, in every major final, there she was. In the stands, eyes not just on the player, but on the man she had known since childhood. Her cheers weren't for trophies, they were for him. In 2017, after more than 2 decades of shared history, they married in Rosario, the same city where it all began. The wedding was dubbed the wedding of the century by the media, with celebrity guests, cameras, and international buzz. But despite the glitz, the core of the ceremony remained simple and sacred. 2 childhood friends finally sealing the bond destiny had written long ago. Those vows weren't written for the cameras. They were written for the 2 kids who met by the riverbank, played under the sun, and quietly built a love story the world would one day envy. In that moment, Messi didn't win a title. He won something rarer in his world, a love untouched by fame, grounded in truth. By now, they weren't just young lovers, they were life partners. A real team, he, the king of the pitch, she, the queen of his peace. In a world where relationships rise and fall overnight, especially in the orbit of celebrity, theirs stood firm, quiet, resilient, personal. Being married to the most famous footballer on earth could have easily turned Antonela into a brand, a headline, a marketing tool, but she rejected all of that. She stayed real, just like Leo, and in doing so, she preserved something rare: authenticity. While Messi faced pressure from press conferences, global expectations, and national responsibility, Antonela quietly managed the emotional landscape of their home. She built the routines, raised the boys, and ensured their family lived with normalcy amidst chaos. That's the true power of their love. It was never about looking perfect for the world. It was about protecting what mattered most behind the scenes. In Messi's darkest moments, the heartbreak of the 2016 Copa America final, the tears of leaving Barcelona in 2021, Antonela wasn't just a silent witness. She was his fortress, his constant, his reminder that no matter how heavy the crown, there would always be someone who saw him as just Leo, You can spot her in every frame of heartbreak, present, calm, never trying to steal the frame, but always right there. Sometimes the most powerful act of love is just being there. They weren't chasing fame, they were building a life, a home, a legacy based not on likes, but on loyalty. And now, as Messi enters new chapters from lifting the World Cup to taking on a new journey in Miami, his greatest achievement isn't just on the field, it's the fact that after everything, he's still holding the hand of the girl he loved before the world knew his name. This isn't just a fairy tale, this is a blueprint, a lesson in patience, loyalty, timing, and emotional depth. A story that shows us love doesn't need noise to be powerful, it just needs truth. Messi and Antonela's story reminds us that love isn't about grand gestures or curated highlight reels. It's not found in viral moments or filtered perfection. It's found in the quiet decisions, the ones you make every day when no one's watching, the ones where you choose someone again and again, not because it's easy, but because it's real. Love for them was built on consistency, on showing up, on staying even when the excitement fades and the routine sets in, on supporting each other through the hard seasons, the injuries, the losses, the distance, the doubt. In a world constantly chasing speed, validation, and status, they chose to move differently, slowly, quietly, and with purpose. We've seen countless athletes fall into the trap of distractions, relationships torn apart by fame, emotional meltdowns, temporary highs, public breakups. But Messi, he stayed grounded because his roots were real. He didn't discover love after he built his empire, he carried it with him, from the dirt pitches of Rosario to the world's grandest stadiums. That's why it lasted. And Antonela, she redefined what quiet strength looks like. She wasn't behind him, she was beside him. Not in his shadow, but in his story. Not trying to outshine him, but choosing to walk with him at every step, in every moment. She didn't seek the spotlight, she didn't chase fame, she protected their love from it. While the world placed Messi on a pedestal, she kept him grounded. She raised their children in peace. She gave him a place to be Leo, not just Messi. And that's not just support, that's partnership. The power of their story isn't in the romance, it's in the rhythm. Grow together, evolve together, choose each other through every chapter, protect what matters, and never forget who you were before the world tried to tell you who to be. Because the ultimate win isn't on the field, it's in who's there when you walk off it, in who's still clapping for you when the stadium is empty, in who saw you before the world ever did. Lionel Messi has broken records, lifted every major trophy, and inspired generations of players and fans. He's made history in ways most athletes never will, but maybe, just maybe, his greatest achievement isn't a Ballon d'Or or even the World Cup. Maybe it's something far more human. A love story that began in the corners of a small town, one that survived growing pains, oceans of distance, the crushing weight of fame, and still held strong. A love that was never loud, but always legendary, because behind every champion, there's more than just talent and discipline. There's sacrifice. There's someone who stays, someone who believes when no one else does, someone who reminds you of who you are when the world starts to forget. Not every love story makes headlines, but the ones that endure, they write history in moments, in memories, in the quiet places fame can't touch. This story isn't just about Messi the footballer, it's about Messi the man, and the woman who loved him long before the trophies and the titles, when he was just Leo from Rosario. So if this story moves you, don't just watch it, reflect on it. In a culture obsessed with chasing more fame, more likes, more attention, Messi and Antonela's story reminds us of what actually lasts: loyalty, presence, and someone who sees the real you and stays. So here's what you can take away today. Choose slow love, the kind that's built over time, not hype. Choose people who grow with you, not just go with you. And most of all, remember your roots. Because success means nothing if you forget who stood with you before the world clapped for you. If you're someone chasing greatness like Messi, make sure you're building something real off the pitch too. And if you believe in stories that go deeper than the headlines, hit that like button, subscribe for more football stories that touch the soul, and share this with someone who still believes in love that lasts. Because behind every icon is someone who chose love, even when the cameras weren't rolling. And sometimes that's the greatest legacy of all.